In this video, I'm going to tell you how to set up the perfect customer support center that I personally used to set up a 24/7 worldwide operation that had almost 500,000 users. Hey everyone, I'm John Barker with Barker Management Consulting and host of the Business Samurai podcast. I've been in cyber and technology for over 20 years, serving over 100 clients. Just got a lot of information, a lot of experience. Hope that it can help you succeed in all of your endeavors. And if any of this sounds good, you like it, dislike it, give me a thumbs up, give me a thumbs down, give me a little bit of feedback. All right. Let's jump into it. So the system I used was a government program for the Department of Defense. And just to set the stage so I can tell you how it was structured and how we actually ended up receiving an excellent rating at the time when contracts change hands, as they typically do, let me quickly describe the scenario for you. The customer service center had 4 tiers. You have your typical tier 1 intro where the tickets or phone calls would come in. You had your tier 2 escalation, which would have been a little bit more senior engineers. You would have had your tier 3, which was actually the government personnel that was related to our project specifically. And then tier 4 was the government data center that was based out of Oklahoma. This is where we didn't really have any direct contact with them as being a contractor, that it had to go through the government liaison in most cases to get anything resolved. So you're talking the tier 4 was the physical infrastructure, the physical access to the physical servers, the physical firewall. I'm using the term physical a lot. But essentially whoever had the last piece of putting hands on a piece of equipment, if something failed or something need to be reconfigured, like a firewall port. So I had influence and or control over the first 3 tiers of the help desk. This is a solution that I was able to manage for roughly 4 years, the time that the company I was working for at the time had the contract. As I briefly mentioned in the intro, this call center was 24/7, and there were people all around the globe, particularly in Europe and the United States, but genuinely we could get calls for support for the portal that we were managing from anywhere, even from military ships that were out on deployment. It was quite possible there could have been a support request coming in from one of them. So for us to have designed, this was a teamwork thing. This wasn't like I had just come up with this big epiphany to create a perfect help desk. There was a lot of trial and error that went into this. But like I said, at the very end, when the contract switched hands as to do with government work, we got an excellent rating. It is the highest level that you can get from the government. And I was sitting at the table when the contract was changing hands from the contractor I was working for to the new one that had won the new work. The government liaison looked directly at the new people. He said, regardless of what happens with anything else, I don't want any slippage in how the support customer team is functioning when you guys take control. So that was kind of the level of proficiency and excellence that we were able to achieve to sit at the table. And I'm hearing this and going, all right, we did our job, the team did its job, and everybody could pat themselves on the back. So let's dive in to my 5 steps to setting up the perfect help desk, the perfect customer support center that you can apply whether you're in a technology-based field, you're just in general customer service, that I think will make everyone happy and make everyone feel engaged in the process and the customer feel supported at the end of the day. So let's jump in. Number 1, gotta have an SLA. What does SLA stand for? Service level agreement. The team that you work with needs to have some parameters in place on how quickly they're supposed to respond, accuracy of the responses, and how many touch points. We had a very broad SLA on the government had provided with us. Tickets needed to have been acknowledged, not necessarily resolved within 2 hours of receipt, and that was kind of it. So you can get really, really focused in on that. But I would also caution about not being too stringent. One of the things that I've seen with larger customer support teams, and definitely if you're listening to this, you would have seen it as well, like where you're working with the customer for too long, the resolution takes too much, and they're trying to rush you off the phone. Yes, you can't let somebody sit there and just talk your ear off for an hour, get the solution and then move on. But at the same time, You can't sit there and make them feel rushed just to get off and then not have a resolution and not let the end user feel like they're satisfied. Number 2, ever touches the ticket first maintains ownership of the ticket. Who owns it? I get pushback on this. When I have worked with other places to try to improve customer service and customer support, this is one area that I get pushback. Who owns it? Who touched it first? So this doesn't necessarily mean that Johnny that picked up the phone at Tuesday night at 2 in the morning is responsible for it at Wednesday morning at 11 when he's off shift, but the tier should be maintaining control of this at all times. And if something becomes where your tier 1 or whoever that first person is that can not resolve it, and they have to bump it up to the next level, such as tier 2, they don't just abdicate control and say, all right, it's not my problem anymore. They maintain the ownership of it. And I got to be honest with you, I feel like this step here is probably the most important step in the entire process. Other places, managed service providers, managed security service providers that I've talked to, I mean, quite frankly, once they kick it to tier 2, it's done for them, regardless if the customer is resolved or not. So I implemented this solution for my team to go, you got to keep control of this. The tier 1 has to keep control of this, which leads into number 3, that they have to keep in contact every 24 hours. Now this time can change. This is just what we use. Don't take this as a hard rule. But if something got kicked to tier 2, which of course means there may be some engineering work involved, there's a bug in the program, it's not necessarily something somebody can snap their fingers and fix. But the tier 1, whoever had the ticket first and is still maintaining control of it, would do 2 things. They would give an update to the customer. Hey, we're staying in contact with the tier 2 technical support team. Here's the response, or we haven't gotten a response, and we'll keep you up to date. And they are continuing to push on the tier 2 to get a resolution to the ticket. So they are sitting there and being the advocate for the customer. That whoever was coming into the portal, this is and again, this is key. How many times have you called in just felt like you were another cog in the machine? We wanted to make anybody that came in with a problem feel like they were absolutely going to be taken care of. And that builds trust with the program and builds trust with the team. And I think everybody had a good sense of accomplishment that we actually, again, we did our jobs to the best of our ability without just deflecting and then kicking back and saying, somebody else has got this. No, they maintained control of it. They kept in constant communication with not only the end user, but who they kicked the ticket to make sure that we got a solution. Number 4, we color coded our tracking system. This took some time to build in. A lot of government programs, they're not using, some of them are using commercial off the shelf. Half of the one we did was actually a custom built solution. So we were able to color track how the tickets came into the system. So for instance, something came in that was high priority would obviously get red. Something that would come in as medium would be yellow. And something that, that was low impact, maybe it only affected one user, would be green. Stoplight system. And I kid you not, if you apply this color principle to pretty much anything you're tracking, you're going to be way ahead of the game and things won't fall off the table. So we ended up, we had it a couple of different ways. If the ticket had been in the system for too long, I don't remember exact time frames that we set up for in there, but if the system had been unresolved for, let's say, 3 days, it would go from green to yellow. You'd start getting medium priority because you could sort by priority list. And we also did this, it didn't matter how minute the issue was. If the ticket is aging in the system, it would gradually start moving up till it become red because, hey, this ticket's been open for a week. It's been open for 10 days. Somebody really needs to look at this because, don't get me wrong, we're still talking to the customer every single day. Every 24 hours, we're talking to the customer. And sometimes it was a hit of the button. Other times it was a legit update. So we did color tracking based on the priority. Obviously, if there's a mass outage, you're getting enough stuff come in, it's affecting a big region of people, this would be red. And then I can't think of anything that actually would get classified as medium. The medium became more of a just a time-based thing that gradually through there. The color tracking made it visual. That's the key thing. Visual for all support tiers to just glance at it and go, ooh, red, I need to look at this. Red, I need to look at this. Green, I can set it aside and help with the priority level. Now, if any of this, it sounds good, makes sense, do me a favor, give me a like, give me a comment, let me know what you would do to tweak, and let's go ahead and wrap this up with number 5. So to wrap up the 5 steps that I used to create the perfect call center, you've defined an SLA. What should you be responding to, and you're measuring against that. Whoever touches the ticket first keeps the ticket, whether it's the person or the tier. We color-coded the ticketing system so everybody could see it at a glance. Wide area issues that affected a lot of people, like a big coding, something in the software that broke, or maybe there was an outage of in a region because of a server or firewall issue, would get red. Minor stuff would get green, but we would also start automatically increasing the priority of even the minor stuff if this ticket was aged into the system. And we responded to all customers. We were keeping in contact with all customers at least once every 24 hours. The last thing, and this should be pretty common for anybody that's ever worked in one of these before, is a central knowledge base. One of the issues that most companies have is you want a repeatable answer. You need something that is consistent across the team, that's the same language, it's the same everything, because it's really the only true measure that you're being successful. Because if you got one person on your team answering one ticket one way, somebody else gets the exact same one, because of course they're all going to have like kind of an FAQ thing, but a lot of people want hands-on help. You want to make sure that everybody is providing the same level of consistent service. And to be able to do that for a lot of those common things that you're going to see in that first touch point, you want the answers to be the same. So the best way to do that is to start building out a standard operating procedures for certain issues that you have in there and putting them in a central repository. When I first took over this help desk, this is not like this program had been around for years, but now it was scaling up. And when it started out, some of the team that had been on it before I had taken over as kind of running this particular project, everybody had different Word documents, they had different Excel documents, they had different answers, they had different language. Some of it was formal, some of it was informal, some of it was grammatical errors in some of the stuff if you were submitting an email because they were cut and pasting it. Nobody had a central repository, nobody could see everything. So have the central repository in there, and then you'll be able to ensure consistency in the answers that you're giving, and the customers are getting the same level of service across the board. So hopefully you found these solutions helpful, these 5 steps. Again, we got an excellent rating. I don't know how we could have done it better with the group that we had, the tools that were at our disposal. I know the response was overwhelming. We never, ever got complaints once we started getting it formalized. Not saying that we got even complaints in the beginning, but we genuinely, I cannot think of a time that our team on the customer support side got complaints. Tier 2, the Tier 2 engineers were also awesome with this. The government reps were awesome with this. Everybody was on board with this program, and the work paid off for us in the end. And I'm happy to say that even though I've been removed from this program for years, there's a lot of people that are still on the same project, implementing the same thing, getting the same excellent results, because we put in a process and a workflow that works. So if you found that useful, leave me a comment below, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I look forward to the next one. If there's other things in the tech and business world you'd like to see that I can extract from my mind from 20 plus years of experience, just let me know. I'll start making some more videos.